Fala galera, bem-vindos ao Flow Games e hoje a gente tem aqui uma entrevista muito especial, tá? Com o
Jens Andersson.
Jens Andersson, que é o diretor de design do Indiana Jones, que já saiu, tá? E tá sendo muito bem recebido pela crítica. É uma franquia lendária que a gente tem agora um novo jogo em mãos. Eu tô aqui com ele mesmo, Bruno Micalha.
Muito prazer estar aqui com você, Davi, com vocês, galera. Esse papo vai ser muito legal já. Aperta a tecla switch que vai ser pro inglês.
So Jens, thank you for having us here, having been in Brazil in this event, and you have Indiana Jones to play here in CCXP, right?
For the first time for the public, people get to play the
First
game.
time for the public in the world?
Yeah.
Oh, this is awesome!
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah.
This is awesome. So if you are here, you can play it, and you are the design director. Can you tell us each game has a lot of directors, right?
Yeah.
What did the design director do in the game?
Yeah, I wish I knew. No, in theory, it's being responsible for the design team, like the game design team, the level design team, having a cohesive vision for the gameplay, all the game design related stuff. But it's a very wide role in many ways, touching a lot of different aspects, like everything, all the game mechanics and everything touch every different other department as well. So yeah, just trying to figure out how to make the game be fun.
So you machine games, right?
Yes.
You do the Wolfenstein franchise for a long time now.
Which is great.
It is a first-person shooter, right?
Yeah.
Really frantic, really fast. And Indiana Jones, it is first-person as well, but it's a big shift, right?
Big
How
shift.
was it to you to change from one kind of game to another, and you do it first-person as well? But how was this shift?
It's a really good question because it's hard. Like you come from this dual-wielding shotgun kind of. That's how you solve problems in Wolfenstein, and you have the whole team working in that kind of direction, and then you switch. You're making an Indiana Jones game. So what is that? People still think like they worked up this muscle memory on how to make video games. So that takes time. It's like steering an oil tanker in terms of what are good ideas for this game, because ideas come from everywhere on the team, but it needs to align. It needs to be, work for what the game is.
A unit.
Yeah, exactly. So, and even more complicated is because you don't really know what you're making until you have it working, which is, end of development. So it's trying to steer this oil tanker and figure out what are the cool things we can do in an Indiana Jones game.
Yeah, well, we know that the first at this point of things, we know that I cannot see this game without having a first-person perspective. We know that this was a question for you guys, but out of curiosity, how was for you guys to, choose the first person and not the third person, because it's an adventure game? I can mention for you some great examples of first-person games that I can see in Indiana Jones and the Grande Círculo. For example, Metroid Prime.
Great game.
Yeah, great game. Metroid Prime. Of course you shoot, but you play as Samus. You are Samus. You feel that you are Samus. You use her armor, you use her skills, her jumps, everything. So in this game, you are Indy. So I cannot see this game right now having a third-person camera. So how was for you guys to make this maybe difficult choice, or wasn't that difficult?
No, it wasn't a difficult choice. It was the natural thing for us.
Nice.
And you're absolutely right. Like, this game couldn't be a third-person game. It would be a completely different game if we tried to make a third-person game. This was built from the start to be a first-person adventure game. And it wasn't a choice because we do first-person games.
Sure.
Like, we love the first-person perspective, and our whole idea with this game was to put you into the shoes of Indiana Jones, and that works best in first person because you see it through his eyes. It's much more intimate. You get up close and personal with characters, with puzzles, with just punching people in the face.
Dr. Jones. Para você, violência sempre é resposta, não?
Yeah, we know that making first person besides shooting, it's a challenge, right? The melee and the other stuff that you do in first person is harder than the just shoot. We are doing first person shooters a long time now. But the whip is is a really iconic thing for indie. How was to you to make the whip in first person?
Hard.
Yeah.
It's such an iconic part of the Indiana Jones. So we obviously knew that we would have to go all in on making the whip work, make it work across all the different layers of gameplay that we have. Like combat, absolutely. Like use it to disarm people, use it to pull people in, but also like traversals, scaling walls, using it to solve puzzle, like everything we could think of. This is what I talked about, like how ideas are formed through, like you channel the team to come up with good ideas. It takes time to get into that kind of thinking, but that was a priority in getting that to feel right, to look right, to sound right. We had this funny thing. We went to see the Swedish bullwhip champion.
Awesome.
Apparently there is such a thing.
Yes.
Awesome guy, and he showed us how to properly use a bullwhip, and we recorded hundreds of sounds that
awesome.
you have in the game, like to get it as authentic as we could. Like just great fun to trying to really make it feel like a physical, real whip in the game, and then all the technology that it goes into it, like both animation and simulation. Great engineers, great programmers, collaborating on making this feel just right.
Yeah, there's an important thing. Going a bit further into that, I want to make this compliment, because Indy, he's an explorer. So he's a little, in the movies, he's a little clunky in the combat. You know? He's not a martial arts expert. He's not a fighter. He's an explorer. And I think you guys translated this into the game very well. Because the combat, it's those punches, those clunky punches, and the whip. So he's not a fighter, and this is a very important thing for people to have in mind. So how the old games, Indiana Jones has good 3D games in the market. For example, the Emperor's Tomb or the Infernal Machine, or how did the previous Indiana Jones titles, even the 2D ones, help you guys in building the Great Circle?
Well, we looked at everything there was, of course.
And even the films, of course.
The films, of course, they are our primary source of inspiration, especially Raiders of the Lost Ark and The Last Crusade. There's a wealth of game out there as well, and we looked at all of that. Like, there's a lot of good ideas there. My personal favorite is Fate of Atlantis. I just love those point-and-click adventures and like that story, and it inspires you to, like, these are good ideas. We want to have ideas like that in the game, and especially those point-and-click adventures, gave us confidence that we could do a more adventure-like game with more like puzzles and stuff like that, because it's kind of uncharted waters. I think in big games today, like, how far can you push it? So we pushed it really far, I think, with this game. There's lots of puzzles in there, and there's it's adventure first. It's primarily an adventure game.
Sure.
So when the Indiana Jones game was announced, we didn't know if Harrison Ford is going to be involved, right? And he himself said that there is no other one that will play Indiana Jones ever, right? So we didn't know if he was going to be in the game. And first, did you know in the beginning that he was going to be involved? And how was it to bring him to life in the game? That you know that he's really peculiar, about this character and his characters in general. And it's not his voice, right? But it is his liking. How was this?
Yeah, no, Indiana Jones is Harrison Ford. There's no getting around that, and we wanted to replicate that on screen, and we wanted to replicate the Indiana Jones in 1937, how he looked in Raiders of the Lost Ark. So spent so much time trying to get that to look and feel accurate, and this is where Troy Baker, our actor who plays Indiana Jones, really stand out. His exceptional performance here. We're so lucky that he chose to work with us. Like he really performed so well during the auditions. There was no other choice. And not only how he speaks, also how Indiana Jones moves. Like he's pointing with his fingers, his smirk with, mouth thingy. Like there are so many good things that he does that really makes the character come alive on screen. And then of course a lot of attention to detail from our animators and all these things to make it feel like it's the same guy that I see in the movies I'm playing right now.
Troy Baker said in a recent interview that he needed kind to be convinced to make the part because he think he was not good enough to play Indiana Jones, right? But then you convince him, and I'm sure he's great because he's great in everything.
Yeah, and honestly, that's not how I remember it, because he knocked it out of the park. From the get-go, he came prepared, and he's been so great to work with, and really trying to get this right. He's a big Indiana Jones fan too, so I think it was as important for him to get it right as it was for us.
Yeah, it's nice to know. Actually, you mentioned Fate of Atlantis, great mention, because we have this one guy who is reviewing the game on Flow Games on our website, Thomas. He actually helped with some of those questions, and he mentioned that the game is so alike for Fate of Atlantis. So, story-wise, Jens, we know that the game fits between Raiders of the Lost Ark and The Last Crusade in the timeline of Indiana Jones, of course. So how did you guys come up with a new story that could be as compelling as the ones in the movies?
Yeah, that was the goal, right? It actually all started with Todd Howard being a massive Indiana Jones fan. Having this concept of a story of the Great Circle. Like, it's such a interesting myth. And talking to Lucasfilm Games about, wouldn't it be cool if we could make a game together with this, and got them on board. And then he approached us, like, we have this idea, interested, and being massive fans as we are, of course, like, who's gonna pass on that? So at Machine Games, our process is that we focus, it's story first. We do the like in the first 3, 4, 5 months, we get the story down on paper, and then we stick to it, and we are really careful to really stay true to it. And I think that shows when you play the game. There, like, the story is fantastic. So the goal here was to as you say, create a story that rivals the movies. Really make it feel like an authentic Indiana Jones story, and this is where Lucasfilm Games really helped. Working with them, they have this amazing vault of everything in Indiana Jones, and they are the experts. So just working with them back and forth on getting all these kind of details right to make it feel just like an Indiana Jones movie, and have that story, but working as a video game, because there are big differences, of course.
O Grande Círculo é o maior mistério de toda a arqueologia. Você ao menos sabe o que ele é?
So, Indy is an explorer, right? And we know that this game, as far as we know, is a story. You do the story, is a most linear game, we imagine. But how many stuff are you hiding? Like, there are a lot of secrets in the game. People can explore and find some cool Easter eggs in reference to the old movies and stuff. Do you have that?
A lot.
Oh, great.
No, it's both looking at what the game is, but first talking about like the fan service boss. There's so many things in there, sort of referencing the movies and things like that. But I think most importantly, in the game structure and the gameplay, we have a very strong story to tell, and it's like bottlenecks throughout the gameplay, where the big important beats in the story happens, but then it opens up. We have a number of really big sections in the game, and this is where we hide as much that we can. So we want to encourage exploration, and want to encourage in a way where if you choose to walk off the beaten path, not go where the game tells you, we want to reward you for that, by finding a huge dungeon under the deserts of Giza. Like, really reward someone looking beneath a ruin or something. So trying to do as much of that as possible, and reward the player with puzzles, with an adventure book, like the thing that you find abilities in the game for. So as much as we possibly can, it's exploration is such a fundamental part
Awesome.
of the game.
Yeah, awesome. I mean, we talked about Metroid Prime, which is a great example for a game that looks, similar in some ways to Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. What other games or media, Jens, could you name that influenced the ideas for the Great Circle? I mean, I can make my own rating. You can say if I'm right or not. But I can remember of Metroid Prime, Journey to the Seventh Planet, which is a great game, adventure game in the first-person perspective. Of course, the latest Doom games, Wolfenstein. What are your thoughts on that?
There's so many fantastic games out there, and we have a huge team, so everyone plays a lot of video. We love video games,
Sure.
so there's so many good things to be inspired by. So it's hard to pinpoint specific ones, and I think what's really cool about our game is that it has so many different. It's not a
Layers.
Layers. It's not a single thing. There's the action. It's the explosive set pieces, it's the puzzles, it's the hand-to-hand combat, there's the shooting, like all these different things that we managed to put together into this globe-trotting adventure. It becomes something special when you combine all those pieces, and it fits really well within the Indiana Jones universe.
Yeah, sure. Well, one last question. You have any final message for the millions of fans who are watching this interview? And of course, we can see that the game is being acclaimed right now. Yeah, it's coming out.
In the early access right now.
In the early access, and the game is being acclaimed on the scores. So congratulations on that.
Thank you so much.
And I know you are excited, so please manifest your excitement to the world right now. And any message you wanna bring to the fans?
Yeah, honestly, I'm tired because it was a wild night. We had the press embargo lift yesterday evening.
Yeah.
Saw the reviews starting to roll in, and you pour your heart into the work. We've been working 5 years on this, and then finally to see people playing the game, seeing the love and admiration, you have you can't imagine how relieved, overwhelming, excited, all of these things. And it was especially fun to be able to, have that experience here in Sao Paulo. Such a lovely country, beautiful.
Thank you.
It's gonna be a memory to cherish for sure.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Yeah,
And,
we wish you the best for the
wish you
game.
the best, yes.
Thank you so much.
And we haven't played yet. We are going to play
I am
soon.
really excited to play. I mean, really, I love adventure games. I'm an adventure games guy, so it's my type of game. I mean, everything that I love in gaming is there. So, I wish you the best.
Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot. Galera, muito obrigado a todo mundo que assistiu, tá? Lembrando que isso aqui foi gravado no dia 6 de dezembro, tá? Então, acabou de sair no Early Access do Indiana Jones, a gente não conseguiu jogar, mas em breve jogaremos, falaremos mais.
Tá aí no Game Pass,
tá
pra
no
todo
Game
mundo
Pass
jogar,
pra
né?
todo mundo, exatamente.
Exato.
Então é isso, rapaziada. Muito obrigado a todo mundo. Deixa o seu like, se inscreva. A gente se vê. Tchau.
Valeu.